What a wild night in Minnesota as the Timberwolves have taken a 3-1 lead on the Denver Nuggets. With that, we welcome you to the association late on this Saturday night. I'm John Fanta. He was the 4th overall pick in the 1997 NBA draft. He's an NBA champion, Sirius XM Radio, New Orleans Pelicans analyst as well. Antonio Daniels. Antonio, this was a loaded game. So many storylines to take away from it. Obviously, looking forward, we're thinking about the Wolves and Dante DiVincenzo exiting this game, now being done for the year with an Achilles injury. Anthony Edwards exits as well with a knee injury. But for right now, a 112-96 win for the Timberwolves over the Denver Nuggets. This is a shocker, Antonio. How did the Wolves just pull this off?
Well, the Wolves pulled it off by committee. Obviously, you're not going to replace Anthony Edwards. You're not going to replace what Dante DiVincenzo brings. But if you look at one particular category, look at bench scoring. Look at the difference in bench scoring. The difference is 76 for the Minnesota Timberwolves and 16 for the Denver Nuggets. That's huge. Obviously, Ayo Dosunmu was huge tonight, and he needed to be huge. When you lose your starting backcourt with both Anthony Edwards and also Dante DiVincenzo, but Naz Reid was big off that bench as well.
Naz Reid, fantastic, but we got to get to our association player of the game. Right out of the hopper, Antonio. Ayo Dosunmu becomes the first Wolves player in franchise history to have back-to-back 20-plus point performances off the bench. He didn't have 20 points. He didn't have 25 points. He didn't have 30. He didn't have 35. He had 43 points. A career night for Dosunmu, a guy who was not on this team until the trade deadline. 43 points on 13 of 17 from the floor. What did we just see from Ayo Dosunmu, our association player of the game?
Listen, John, I feel like one of the biggest misconceptions in this league is people assume that the position that guys are in and what you see is all that they are. Sometimes what players simply need is a change of scenery. That's it. Sometimes players need a change of scenery, a change of role. No disrespect whatsoever to the Chicago Bulls and his role that he had with the Chicago Bulls. But Ayo Dosunmu needed a change of scenery. He needed to be in a situation, and he was excited to come to this situation where he was actually competing for something. Now you get an opportunity to see his full overall skill set on display. Because you just said it, the 13 to 17 from the field. He got to the line 12 times, right? He was 5 of 5 from the three-point line. So when you put a player in this position where you get an opportunity to see his full skill set, you never know what you're going to get. He was special tonight from all three levels.
So the Wolves said we'll trade Rob Dillingham, Leonard Miller, 4 second-round picks, and we'll get Ayo Dosunmu and Julian Phillips back. And you remember, Antonio, at the deadline, there's a lot of teams who could have had Ayo Dosunmu, who would have been better having Ayo Dosunmu. Well, the Wolves went and got him. And Chris Finch immediately said this guy's mentality changes the locker room because he's not complacent. He's coming from a team that's not a contender, and he's now playing for a contender. And Antonio, I'm not saying anybody saw this coming tonight, but you could feel his energy. You could feel his burst. The Wolves looked dead. I mean, you're down DiVincenzo and Anthony Edwards. A lot of people would have said, hey, that's it. No, this guy elevated them in every way tonight.
Worth every penny. Worth every penny. And you're right, he did elevate them. The things that we can't see because we're not there in Minnesota, Chris Finch has done a great job at taking us inside the things that are invisible to us from the outside, right? Because Ayo Dosunmu has played well since he's been in Minnesota. He's played well. The thing that we haven't seen, because we're not in Minnesota, is his attitude. We don't know how he comes to the gym on a day-to-day basis. We don't know if when he comes into that gym and he elevates everybody else in that practice facility with simply his attitude. But I tell you what, it's a matter of time, John, before silent work becomes public. And right now, you can see the time, the energy, and the effort that this young man has put in behind the scenes, like we talked about earlier with Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and it's paying dividends for us to see right now on the biggest stage possible.
Here's the other takeaway. Defensively, what the Wolves did, down 2 starting guards. They had to lock in defensively, and Rudy Gobert has Nikola Jokic phased again. Jokic is second-guessing himself around the rim. You're talking about a most valuable player here who tonight has 24 points, but on 8 of 22 from the floor. You don't see Jokic take 22 shot attempts to get to 24 points. He had 15 rebounds. He had 9 assists. But what do you make of what Gobert is doing defensively against one of the game's best?
You're right, John. You are talking about MVP. You're also talking about a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year. So that tells you something right there. Like, here's the thing. Any hooper that's ever played this game at a high level, you have a kryptonite. And what I mean by a kryptonite, I mean that guy that's opposite of you that gives you problems. It may be a long, lanky guy that's athletic. It may be a smaller, shorter, quicker guy that can get under you. And right now, Nikola Jokic's kryptonite has been Rudy Gobert. It's been Rudy Gobert because Rudy Gobert is doing things to Nikola Jokic mentally that we're not accustomed to seeing Nikola Jokic do. You don't see him second-guessing himself around the rim. The touch, the skill that he has, we know he's going to impact the game in other areas. The rebounds and the assists. But what Rudy Gobert is doing, and he's not doing this with a lot of help. It's not a lot of double teams that are coming. This is a challenge that Rudy Gobert has done a great job taking one-on-one in these games thus far. And he has given Nikola Jokic everything he can handle on that defensive side of the floor.
No, he's giving him fits, and you just don't see somebody defend Nikola Jokic like he's doing right now. Let's reset the playoff bracket here. So you've got the Oklahoma City Thunder and the LA Lakers now up 3-0 in their respective series. Lakers are going to go for a sweep tomorrow night on NBC, part of a doubleheader that also features the Sixers and the Celtics. But now you've got the Nuggets down 3-1. They're fighting for their lives, Antonio, on Monday night on NBC. Going up against the Wolves now back in Denver. We'll wait to hear if there's any status update on Anthony Edwards. But there's people who thought the Nuggets could be a champion when it was all said and done. Now they're fighting for their lives.
You're looking at one of them. I'm not going to lie to you. I am enough of a man to admit when I'm wrong, and I'm not wrong yet until this series is over. But I am one that thought, because of Denver's past experience, because of their championship DNA, that they could easily come out and represent the Western Conference in the NBA Finals. Yeah, that I am one of them. And right now, this is something I did not expect. I did not expect the Minnesota Timberwolves to be up 3-1 on the Denver Nuggets. But here's the thing. When you look at Tim Connolly, who was in Denver, and left Denver to go to Minnesota, he left to construct a team to defeat this team, to construct a team to defeat this Nikola Jokic-led Denver Nuggets basketball team. So you got to give credit where credit is due. Tim Connolly leaving Denver and now going to Minnesota and constructing this team to do exactly what they're doing right now. You got to give credit to that front office in Minnesota as well.
If you're thinking, hey, I love this playoff action, remember, tomorrow there's 4 more games. ESPN's got you covered starting at noon with pregame, with tip-off, with EJ and the crew, and then Cavs and Raptors, Spurs and Blazers. Blazers now trying to respond. Those games on ESPN, and then a pair of games on NBC and Peacock. Celtics and Sixers for Sunday night basketball, followed by the nightcap in Houston as the Rockets are fighting for their lives against LeBron and the Lakers. We're going to take a break, but coming up, we're going to go to the podiums. You're going to hear from these players, hear from the coaches after the Minnesota Timberwolves, folks. The Minnesota Timberwolves down multiple starters in this game, getting rough injury news. It didn't matter. Ayo Dosunmu, phenomenal with 43 points, a career